Feminism. Is it not what it's cracked up to be? Has the art of feminism, has the purpose of feminism been lost? Let's get into it. Hi guys, welcome back to Clare's Kingdom, where we talk facts, walk fierce, and remind the world that well-behaved women rarely make history.
You wake up, house up, run around in it, flossing on it. This diamond, my diamond, this rock, my rock. I woke up like this. I woke up like this.
Okay guys, so if you haven't already, make sure you go watch part 1 of my Is Feminism Not a Flex, or Not Being a Feminist is a Flex Now, because I really break down the core concept of feminism, the misconceptions and why it's important in today's society. And that's probably one of the longest videos I've ever made, but it's because it's such an important topic and one that's very close to my heart. But yes, I'm doing a bit of a follow-up video because that video seemed to ruffle a few feathers. So I'm just going to unpack and address a few things. So if you've been a regular watcher by now, you know that I'm a very by the book kind of woman. But not only that, I definitely like to use obviously my own insight, my own observations and my own perspective on things. And I found that some people really don't like textbook terms or don't like technical knowledge or factual knowledge, which I think is very important, especially when we're talking about topics like feminism, racism, sexism, because these things are concepts, missions, systems that have been running for decades, centuries, like literally from the beginning of time. These things, feminism, patriarchy, misogyny, these are not new things. So I definitely think it's worth looking at history and looking at technical terms and seeing where movements started. So even though I suspect that not many people watched the end of my last video about feminism, I'm still just gonna open this discussion and answer the question, should movements be judged by their official definitions or by how people experience them in reality? So someone brought up the argument that even though feminism may be defined a certain way, it's not the reality of what's being, portrayed in the media. It's not the reality of what or how it's being taught or how it's being carried out. And even though I did break that down a lot in the last video, I'm still gonna add to that. And like I said earlier, some people may argue that textbook definitions aren't valid and you should only care about how the topic is perceived in reality. And I definitely did debunk this in the last video, but I just want to say that yes, of course, in social media, of course, in even everyday life, in your local community, in your families, in your friendship groups, I think things like patriarchy, misogyny, even feminism, all these things are definitely adapted to support people's personal beliefs. But if that's the argument, you could argue that across, religion, race, again, gender, social classes, because if we want to argue because a group of people took a concept or took a mission and they basically, became extreme with it, or maybe they took things away or added their own things to it, and then because of that you want to say that the whole concept or the whole mission is invalid, I don't think that's a fair argument to make, because we can apply this, for example, to religion. We know that there's extremist people in every religion. People are always going to take things and take it out of context, or maybe be extreme with it, maybe be radical with it. And of course, even within feminism, they are radical feminists. And my videos and this video is not really about the radical side of things. It's just the basic core purpose of the movement, which is reaching equality for women, restoring the dignity and rights of women all around the world, creating a world where men and women are seen as equals. Not saying that they're the same, not saying that we have the same processes or the same struggles, but at the end of the day, no one is lower or higher than the other. That's the whole core concept of feminism. But of course, you go into the world, you go into the media, and people have their own biases, whether that's, hatred for men, or maybe they see it as women wilding out, women losing all sense of composure, just acting however on the basis of feminism. Those are very extreme cases or extreme manifestations of the movement. But that's not what we're talking about here. And I think that's the point, and that's the importance of making these kinds of videos, so we can get back to the core mission, get back to the real purpose of feminism. It's not about what people have made it to be. Just like in certain religions, certain races, people have their own stereotypes, people have their own narratives. I know if you grew up in the church, especially if you grew up in the church. So I am still a Christian, but of course, I've definitely distanced myself from quote unquote religious practices, or, things that people, for instance, what you wear or how you decide to present yourself. In some religious settings, wearing makeup, wearing a specific style of clothing may be ridiculed, and they may use, scripture, or may use things like that to try to condemn you or say this is a sin, this is a whatever. And some people can use that argument and say, oh, because of this, and the other, I'm going to distance myself from Christianity, I'm going to distance myself from religion as a whole, instead of actually realizing, no, this group of people, this specific place, church, ministry may have twisted it to serve their own agenda. But I think it definitely takes a sense of self-authorship, maturity, the patience and the diligence to actually stop and look at what you're dealing with, instead of, a lot of people depend on other people to break things down for them, instead of actually taking it into their own hands and actually exploring it. And one thing I'm going to say is, just because something is pushed out on a mass scale, it doesn't mean that it's correct. You're going to see there's so many instances, there's so many issues in the world that because it's being pushed out as a mass thing, we think it's normal, we think it's okay because, everyone's doing it, everyone's talking about it. But that is not true. People are always going to take things and make it line up to whatever they want it to be, especially, narcissists and manipulative people. They're always going to take things that are supposed to be good, that are supposed to be helpful, and use it to serve their agendas. So yes, linking it back to this video, I don't think feminism is dead. I don't think feminism isn't what people build it to be. I think people took the concept, they took the movement of feminism, and they used it to serve their own agendas. And that's where we have to have the discernment to be able to separate that line, or see the line and bring it back to the original root. And even if more of the mass perception is feminism is, hating men, feminism is being able to walk around half whatever. If people want to do that, then that's on them. But I think it's about being able to take the good and leave the bad and define it for yourself, and stop going on with what people say and actually go back to definitions and go back to origins. And I think that's the importance of history education and things like that. And like I said, videos like this is just to help refocus the mission, refocus what feminism is, what it was, why we need it. Because I don't care if people twist it to serve their narratives. Feminism is about women's rights, women's dignity. It's not about hating men. It's not about getting back at men. It's not about any of that. It's literally about fairness, equality, justice, letting women have the ability to choose, whether that's their career path, whether that's their body, their womb, all of that stuff. And until women's rights are universal, until it's a thing where it doesn't matter where you go in the world, your rights are your rights, then feminism, the job of feminism is not over. It's not done. And yeah, like I said, when it comes to feminism having different meanings or not being what it used to be, you can really see this in any area: religion, politics, race, dating, so many other social issues. But just because people take extreme views or go off track or whatever they do, it does not redefine the movement. It does not take precedence or take away from the actual objective. But yeah, that's just my food for thought, just to kind of address some of the comments from the last video. And yeah, I like having these kind of discussions. So you guys comment down below your thoughts. Make sure to keep it respectful though, because we keep it respectful over here. But yeah, hope you guys enjoy this one. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
I woke up like this, we flawless. Ladies, tell them I woke up like this. I woke up like this, we flawless. Ladies,